I had a client a few months ago who continually made purposefully goofy faces. Do you have any further strategies for situations like this beyond the ones mentioned in the posing and natural light classes? Oh, silly face people are the worst. But ultimately, it's coming out of anxiety, nervousness, and not feeling comfortable. That is where the silly faces come from. As annoying as it is, all that is saying is I am uncomfortable and I don't know what to do. So I'm just going to make silly faces. So yes, I have some additional advice to give for these types of situations. Step one is honestly just ignore it at first and talk really, really fast. If you can keep things moving really, really quickly as far as your cueing, it just doesn't give them time to do the silly faces because they're having to think about what you're saying and follow the direction. So the idea is you want to get some really great photos in the interim in between the silly faces and things. So you want to be able to show him the back of your screen and show that he did great. And, you're rewarding like, wow, you really did great. This was awesome. Completely ignore the fact that there were silly faces at all. I also encourage like a kid, no matter what he's doing. So in the posing class, we talk about when you have little kids and they're not doing what you want them to do, you're like, sit down on the ground and then they take off running. And then you're still going to say, wow, great job. That's great running. Cool. Can you run to me now? And like work your way back, but you're still never going to show that you're annoyed or show that they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So it's the same thing. It's the same situation. That kid's doing that because they're nervous and they don't know what to expect. And they probably don't respect you yet either. But it's kind of the same thing with the guy. You haven't earned his respect yet. And he's nervous. So he's just not listening to you like a little kid. So you're just going to keep telling him what a great job he's doing. And it's kind of hard to like not like somebody when they're telling you how great you are. So just keep on telling him how amazing he is. And wow, he's so handsome. And his beautiful fiance or his beautiful kids, or wow, your kids are so well behaved. You must be a great dad. Whatever it is, you're just going to encourage, even if you're super annoyed. If he's still making silly faces after all of that effort and you're still smiling, I would talk directly to him during an in-between moment. So this can also apply, even if there's not silly faces happening, but you can kind of feel that like he or she just isn't quite comfortable yet. And they're just kind of guarded. Like, this whole thing is weird and I don't really want to be doing it. I'm here for my family. I'm here for my fiance, but like, I don't really want to be doing this. You can kind of feel it. So these people, actually my wedding on Saturday, the guy, the groom, I had to use this technique with him because he was very guarded in the very like first 20 minutes of the engagement shoot. And I was like, good Lord, these people have traveled for their session. I need to find a way to break in. So when we were walking to the next spot, she kept taking over with the conversation because, I think she could feel it too. So she was trying to make up for it by like really talking a lot and being encouraged, like, oh, everything's so great. Everything's so great. Let me just talk to you. And so I kind of like headed her off. And I turned to him and I started a conversation with just him. So, it was, so what do you do for work? Oh my gosh, that's really cool. I actually have this cousin who blah, blah, blah. Is that the same thing? Oh, no, it's not. Oh, tell me more about that. Like, wow, that must be a lot of responsibility. Having a more heart-to-heart one-on-one instead of being like silly Megan that I do so that people have somebody to smile at. So I might as well be the clown that people can smile at. These types of people need it to be more of a serious conversation, take you seriously. And you're basically giving him an opportunity to talk about something that he is knowledgeable about, which is usually work for most guys. Girls too, though, like our work is such a big part of our day. Like if somebody asks me about photography, I'm like, like, well, then let's have this conversation. I love it, but if somebody wants to talk about their field of work that I know nothing about and I'm not good at it, like if it was like math or spelling, I would be like, oh, good Lord, this is not fun at all. And that's how they feel about the photography shoot. They don't know what you're doing. You're the expert, but they don't know what you're doing. They feel lost. So kind of flipping the script and letting them be an expert in something usually kind of breaks down the wall and helps them feel a little bit more secure. And that like they at least have this connection with you now so that they feel like they are being listened to and understood. And you've basically handed over the stick of knowledge. So then when you get to the next spot, they're usually more willing to like, okay, she took time to actually listen to me and talk to me. Like, okay, I kind of like her now. We'll see. I'll be nicer now, you know? And then they tend to melt a little bit. If that still didn't work, which I've never really gotten to this stage, it's more, when I think of it, it's more like kids. At some point, you kind of have to just call it out and just say, like, let's call him Danny, because I was watching a show with a Danny yesterday. So it'd be like, trying to pose, he does another silly face, and just saying like, hey, Danny, I noticed you're doing these silly faces. What's up? And make him talk about it at that point. At that point, you're just like, okay, I've done everything. And I'm just going to go ahead and call out the fact that I'm annoyed. We're like, so like, think about it as like, you're halfway through the shoot and like, you got to do something, like you've done everything you possibly could. And they're still being silly and obnoxious. And I do this on wedding days sometimes when the groomsmen are really out of hand because they're usually drinking. And, they're being, and like not listening. So sometimes I'll just like stop and call it out and just be like, hey guys, what's up? Like, it's your best friend's wedding day. What's going on? Like, are we going to do this? Like, are we going to get it done? Or, I could get this done in 5 minutes. Or we can keep like doing silly faces and stuff. Like, what's the deal? And then usually he'll say something like, if it's on a couple session or a family session, usually it's like, well, I just feel really stupid doing this. Like it just feels really dumb. And then you can say, I know it does feel really dumb when you think about what we're doing. I mean, we're like in the middle of a field or a park and we're all dressed really nice and people are walking by in their running clothes. And here we are in our fancy clothes in the middle of the park. It feels really dumb to do the stuff that we're doing, but we're creating these visual representations of the way you two feel about each other or the way your family feels about each other. And we're creating these memories for generations to come. I know it feels stupid, but like the next time you feel silly and, you want to make a silly face, just try laughing instead. Like, that's all I ask. Just laugh instead. Laughter is always welcome, but the silly faces make it really hard for me to actually deliver a lot of photos to at the end of the day. And I want to make sure you get a lot of value for your money here today. Basically, if they're going to act like a child, at some point, they're going to have to be treated like one.